Imagine walking into the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, one of the most iconic casino resorts on the planet. This single empire generates over $16 billion a year, which means more than $40 million flows through its doors every single day. The lights are blinding, the slot machines are ringing, and millions of dollars are changing hands every minute. Then, in September 2023, everything went pitch black. In less than 10 minutes, every slot machine shut down. Digital room keys stopped working, elevators froze, and payment systems across every restaurant and bar completely crashed. The entertainment capital of the world was instantly thrown back to the Stone Age. Guests paying $1,000 a night were forced to sleep on the lobby floor amid 4-hour check-in lines. Inside the dark casino floor, with all digital systems dead, security guards had to escort staff carrying giant plastic buckets filled with hundreds of thousands of dollars in raw cash just to pay out casino winners by hand. This massive blackout ended up costing MGM over $100 million in losses. But this was not the work of foreign military hackers or high-tech cyber armies. This multi-million-dollar disaster was executed by a group of rebellious teenagers known as Scattered Spider. They were kids aged 16 to 22 from the US and the UK who spent their time in an underground online subculture called the Com. Inside private Discord channels and Telegram groups, they obsessed over video games, social clout, and harassing corporations. Before targeting MGM, this same group perfected their methods by hacking giant platforms like Uber, DoorDash, and Twilio. They were not driven by political motives or grand ideology. They wanted fast cash, online hype, and the thrill of flexing their power. Their secret weapon was not writing complex, malicious code. It was mastering human psychology through aggressive social engineering. Before making a single move against MGM, they launched a tactic known as MFA fatigue. At 2 o'clock in the morning, they bombarded a targeted employee's phone with hundreds of push notifications requesting login approval. They knew that a tired, confused employee might eventually tap approve just to stop the relentless ringing. Next, they took it a step further using SIM swapping. They tricked mobile carriers into transferring the employee's phone number to a device under their control. This allowed the hackers to intercept all two-factor authentication text messages in real time. Then came the final move. The hackers browsed LinkedIn to find the job title and personal details of an MGM employee. They picked up the phone and dialed the corporate IT help desk. Speaking with complete calmness and using technical jargon, the teenager said, "Hi, I am an employee. I forgot my password and my phone authentication is locked. Can you reset it for me?" The IT operator did not verify his identity or call a supervisor. Within 10 minutes, the employee handed over full access to Okta, the cloud software controlling all corporate logins across MGM. A teenager had just walked away with the keys to a multi-billion-dollar empire through a simple phone call. Once inside the network, the teenagers realized the system was too massive for them to handle alone. They lacked the heavy-duty ransomware tools required to encrypt enterprise servers. So they partnered with ALPHV, also known as Black Hat, one of the most ruthless ransomware syndicates in the world. They agreed to split the ransom 50-50. Together, they locked down over 100 critical servers, froze the hotel's automated food supply chains, and quietly stole 6 terabytes of sensitive customer data containing personal details of over 40 million people. When MGM tried to downplay the crisis to the press as a minor technical issue, the hackers publicly leaked private screenshots of MGM's administrative panels on Twitter to prove they were in total control. At the exact same time MGM was collapsing, Scattered Spider pulled the exact same social engineering trick on Caesar's Palace, another massive casino giant right across the street. But Caesar's took a completely different path. Fearing that the hackers would leak the sensitive personal records of over 65 million loyalty members, Caesar's secretly negotiated with the teenagers. Within hours, Caesar's quietly paid a $15 million Bitcoin ransom. In return, the hackers provided a decryption key, promised to delete the stolen database, and allowed Caesar's to get back to business as if nothing happened. MGM's management, however, proudly refused to pay a single penny, declaring they would not negotiate with cyber criminals. But refusing to pay came at a devastating cost. To contain the breach, MGM was forced to manually pull the plug on their entire global network. For 10 agonizing days, the world's most famous casino resort was completely paralyzed. Thousands of luxury room reservations were canceled, bars could not sell drinks, and high-stakes gambling tables sat empty. The total financial damage eventually mounted to over $100 million, nearly 7 times what Caesar's paid to make the problem go away. Even after systems were restored, a brutal public war erupted between MGM and the cybersecurity firm Okta. MGM publicly blamed Okta's cloud architecture for having weak defensive layers. Okta fired back in the media, pointing out that MGM's own internal support desk completely bypassed basic identity verification protocols over a simple 10-minute phone call. The hackers, represented by the ALPHV ransomware syndicate, even mocked both companies on Twitter, releasing a statement saying, "We just walked into the network." MGM management panicked and pressed the kill switch themselves. When the hackers realized MGM would not pay the ransom, they tried to monetize the stolen data. They posted parts of the database containing names, passport numbers, and driver's licenses of over 40 million customers on dark web forums and underground Telegram channels. However, selling stolen personal data on the black market generated peanuts compared to the massive ransom they demanded. Black market buyers were hesitant, knowing these databases quickly circulate for free. Exposing the data became an act of pure revenge aimed at destroying MGM's corporate reputation. You might wonder, did this massive leak permanently destroy MGM's business? Surprisingly, no. Because its main rival Caesar's was hit in the exact same week, customers had no safer alternative to switch to. Within a few months, tourists returned, and MGM went on to break new revenue records. At this point, the story takes a wild turn. How did a crew of phantom teenagers manage to trigger the FBI, and what stupid mistakes finally got them caught? Scattered Spider members suffered from severe teenage vanity. Instead of laying low after pulling off one of the biggest cyber heists in history, they began showing off inside private Discord channels and Telegram rooms known as Calm. They leaked recorded audio calls of themselves manipulating corporate IT operators, laughing and mocking the victims they duped. But their juvenile pride became their ultimate downfall. The teenagers believed they were untouchable behind their encrypted screens and anonymous handles. But their arrogance created a trail of clues that the FBI and the UK's National Crime Agency were quietly piecing together. Their first critical mistake was pure amateur carelessness. One of Scattered Spider's core members, a 17-year-old from Scotland, was sharing his screen in a private Discord room to brag about controlling MGM's admin panel. But he made a fatal error. He forgot to crop his display. In the bottom corner of his screen for just a few seconds, the name of his local home Wi-Fi network and a personal iPod device name were clearly visible. Federal investigators intercepted that stream, extracted the network name, and cross-referenced it with public Wi-Fi mapping databases. Within days, Law enforcement pinpointed the exact physical address in the UK. While investigators had his address, they needed ironclad financial proof to link him directly to the ransom demands. That is where the teenager's second big mistake came in: lavish, reckless spending. Scattered Spider had no idea how to launder tens of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency through complex offshore mixers. Instead, they acted like kids who suddenly hit the lottery. They began spending their Bitcoin directly on luxury items that instantly flagged financial intelligence units. They bought rare two-letter Telegram and Instagram handles for $50,000 to $100,000 each, flexed designer watches, and purchased expensive gaming gear. The FBI tracked these Bitcoin wallets straight from the MGM extortion addresses to the sellers who handed over those high-value assets. The financial paper trail was sealed. In January 2024, armed British police raided a quiet home in Dundee, Scotland, arresting 17-year-old Tyler Buchanan. Because he was a minor at the time, his defense fought bitterly against extradition, but due to the sheer scale of the $100 million damage, British courts granted his extradition to face heavy federal charges in California. Just a few months later, in June 2024, U.S. federal agents arrested another key leader in Florida, 19-year-old Noah Urban, known online as King Bob. Facing 14 federal counts that carried a potential sentence of over 100 years in prison, Urban agreed to a guilty plea deal, confessing to stealing over $40 million in cryptocurrency. Chaos erupted within their cybercrime alliance. The leaders of the ALPHV ransomware group pulled a massive exit scam, stealing the entire multi-million-dollar ransom pot, faking an FBI seizure notice on their website, and completely betraying their teenage partners. Shortly after, an international law enforcement task force seized what remained of ALPHV's infrastructure, while federal judges ordered millions in seized crypto to be returned to victims. The MGM casino heist sent a shockwave through corporate boardrooms worldwide. It proved that no matter how many billions a company spends on advanced firewalls, cloud security, and cybersecurity software, an entire multi-billion-dollar empire is only as strong as its weakest human link. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to Capital Crime for more deep dives into high-stakes corporate heists. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were in charge, would you have paid the $15 million ransom like Caesars? Or taken the $100 million hit like MGM? Let me know in the comments below.